broomstick arms akimbo, his feet in their bottle straw boots very wide apart, under the shade of a slanting willow tree. The Scarecrow was wearing his usual clothes: old coat, old trousers, old bowler hat, old blue shirt, and tarred string braces. He was leaning against the tree and staring into the water. He did not move when Susan shouted, "Worzel Gummidge! Worzel Gummidge!" nor when John flopped down onto the bank beside him. "We've got a fortnight's holiday," said John. "Aren't you pleased to see us?"
"I've not seen you yet," replied Worzel Gummidge, "and I'm not likely to neither, not unless you gets into the water. I'm having a fishing holiday. Oh, aye, that's what I'm doing."
He continued to stare into the water. "But you haven't got a rod, and you haven't got a line, and you haven't got a net." John looked up and down the bank. "You haven't even got a string and a bent pin. You can't be fishing."
"I said I were having a fishing holiday. I didn't say I were fishing."
"But," Susan joined in the argument, "it's the same thing."
"No, it's not. When you fishes, you fishes. When you has a fishing holiday, you has a holiday from fishing. Stands to reason, don't it?"
"No, it doesn't." Susan spoke very carefully because she was so afraid of being confused. "When my uncles have a fishing holiday, they fish all day long."
"Oh, why?" agreed Gummidge rudely. "It only goes to show they're as awkward as you are. Everything upside down and t'other ways on."
"I don't believe you've ever fished at all," said John. The slit of Worzel Gummidge's mouth lengthened into a smile.
"Not I," he agreed. "I'm not so daft. You'll not catch me jerking a fly about at the end of a bit of string when the flies can jerk theirselves about."
"Then," Susan spoke triumphantly, "if you've never been a fisherman, you can't possibly have a holiday from fishing."
"And if you aren't a bank man, you can't have a bank holiday neither."
Worzel Gummidge had been staring down at the water during the whole of this conversation, and he continued to stare during the long pause that followed it. Susan decided that it was no use continuing the argument, so she asked, "What are you looking at, Gummidge?"
"I were looking at a fish before you scared it away. That's my holiday, that is, looking at fishes and feeling sorry for 'em."
Gummidge spoke so sadly that Susan felt quite sorry for him. She stroked the piece of polished broomstick between his twiggy fingers and the end of his right-hand cuff. "If it makes you sad to look at the fish, why'd you go on doing it?"
"It don't make me sad," answered Gummidge. "It makes me happy to think I'm not a fish. Ooh, aye, that's what it does. Fancy having to jump for your dinner when you haven't got no feet to jump with. Fancy having to live on things that tickle, and having to spend your life pushing about in cold, heavy, wet stuff like water, and go to sleep in it, and wake up in it, and never be dry nor warm neither."
"But they're cold-blooded creatures," argued John, anxious to show off his last term's knowledge.
"So'd you be cold-blooded if you lived in that stream," snapped Gummidge. "Oh, aye, it makes me happy thinking I'm not a fish, and don't have to snap at dinners that fly in at one side of the mouth and out at the other. 'Tain't convenient. I dunno which should be the worst, eating the flies you do snap, or eating things the same shape as yourself."
"What sort of things?" asked Susan.
"Fish, of course. Fish eats fish, don't they? Fancy being a fish and swallowing a fish, and then—"
Gummidge's voice trembled, and a few muddy tears trickled down his turnipy cheeks. "And then?" prompted Susan gently.
"And then finding that the fish inside wanted to swim t'other way from what you wanted. Mostly they swallows 'em head first, so stands to reason the one that swallow wants to go t'other way. No room for it to turn round neither."